paradox going on right now. In North America, indeed most of the Western world, we have, in the past 100 or couple hundred years, enormous improvements, if you will. Technology, medical care, we live far longer, we're safer, at least us here. A lot of people in the world are not safe, but in North America we tend to be safer. And we live more comfortable lives. We live more comfortable lives. So on one hand you could say, hey, aren't things getting better and better? This is good. But there's a problem that people are arguing. At the same time, increased stress, anxiety, depression levels, you could argue we're becoming a medicated society, Prozac, fatigue, we've become quite obsessed with consumerism. It's being argued that the church is the new mall, or the mall is the new church, celebrity worship, and it's questionable whether happiness levels have changed in a long time, and so whether we're any better off is debatable. And I would question, has humanity itself actually evolved at all, despite our societal improvements? Has humanity evolved? Has the human species evolved? So it's an interesting paradox, the good and the bad. The meaningful life. I want to live a life that's meaningful, but I don't know what that means really. And I don't know what that means. I know I want to, on my deathbed, look back at my life and say, hey, I'm okay with the life I lived. But I'm not sure what that means and how I should live, and it keeps changing as I go through my cycles of life and I get older. Varying perspectives on the meaningful life, and we could argue about these. You can take a religious perspective, a higher power, and we can argue whose God is better than whose God. You can take a nihilistic perspective and say that there is no meaning, and even the question itself is wrong. That there's no meaning to be found, and we're ants thrown onto this world. Or you can take a kind of creation or finding meaning, that meaning is something that we create. What most scholars do agree with, though, that it is a subjective interpretation of how we experience, and I emphasize experience, our lives. How we experience our lives and determine whether they are meaningful to us. It's also being argued that we have a meaning deficit. Meaning deficit. That we're living shallow lives. And again, this issue, we're getting better off in so many ways, but we're busy, we work a lot, hours of work have gone up, workaholism, all sorts of problems. Are we better off or not is the question. And then we have this funny thing called work, this thing that we have constructed in our society. This work where we go each day and we have to make money to live, although we could just share the resources and not use money. There's other alternatives, of course. But we have this thing called work. And now it's being argued that we should find our meaning through work. And so people are being encouraged, find your calling through work. But that's a lot of pressure on our work life. It's like saying that, hey, my partner in life is responsible for all my happiness. And inevitably, they're probably going to let you down in that regard, because you can't maintain that. So the question of where does work fit in this quest for the meaningful life? Ginny states, work is the most common experience of adult life. Some love it, others hate it, but few of us are able to avoid it. Because we spend 2/3 of our waking life on the job, work is the way we come to know the world and are known to the world. Rightly or wrongly, work in our present society, in the Western world anyhow, has been privileged. And we have put this thing that meaning and happiness in life is supposed to come through work. I don't think that's necessarily wrong, but I think whenever we follow things blindly without questioning, there's a problem. Work for many is great, but for a lot of people, stress, anxiety, depression, workaholism, alienation in the workplace, what Gareth Morgan said was a psychic prison, daily drudgery, and working for the weekend or waiting for retirement. And when you think of how many years and how much time we invest in work, and if you think of this as the result for some people, it's sad. Because we do have choices on how we exist on this planet. We have choices. You'll see that gentleman here pushing the boulder up. This is the legend, the myth of Sisyphus. Sisyphus was condemned by the gods to have to push the boulder up the mountain, and then the boulder would roll down, and Sisyphus would have to go back down and push it up again and continue to do this throughout eternity. And it's used kind of as a symbol for those who believe work is daily drudgery, of continually pushing the rock up the mountain, only to see it roll back